Welcome to the Deep Dive with Farmtips Diary. Today, we're retackling a tough question that's on the minds of farmers everywhere: is inflation forcing farms to shrink? We're talking land sales, rising wages, spiking interest rates, and what it all means for your future in agriculture. If you're farming today, you're feeling the pinch, whether it's through rising input costs or shrinking profit margins. In this video, we're breaking it down step by step so you can understand what's really going on and what you can do about it. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more honest, farm-first insights. Let's start with what's happening to land. For generations, farmland has been a symbol of security. You grow on it, pass it down, build equity. But recently, some farmers are doing the unthinkable. They're selling parts of their land just to stay afloat. Why? Because inflation is making everything else more expensive: feed, fuel, fertilizer, and those bills don't wait for harvest. If you're short on cash, your most liquid asset may not be cash at all, it's land. And that creates a chain reaction. Sell a few acres to pay off debt, and suddenly you're growing less. Growing less means earning less. Earning less means more financial pressure next season. It becomes a slow erosion of your capacity to scale and survive. In some places, it's not just small plots being sold. Entire farms are being listed, especially where land values have risen due to urban expansion or commercial demand. Farmers are saying, if I can't make money farming, I might as well cash out. And who's buying that land? Not other farmers. Often it's developers or investors who have no intention of growing food on it. Now, let's talk about labor. Even if you keep your land, you need people to work it. And labor shortages are hitting farms hard everywhere, from fruit orchards to livestock operations. You might be willing to pay more to attract workers, but guess what? So is every other industry. And with inflation driving up the cost of living, even higher wages sometimes aren't enough. Farms are adapting. Some are downsizing operations to reduce the need for workers. Others are turning to automation using planting robots, auto milking machines, or GPS-guided tractors. But these solutions require money, which brings us to the next big squeeze: financing. Farm loans have long been a pillar of agricultural growth. Need to buy new equipment? You get a loan. Expanding acreage? Loan. Bridging the gap between planting and harvest? Yup, loan again. But today, interest rates are rising fast. That means every dollar you borrow costs more to repay. And for farms already working with thin margins, that higher debt load can be crushing. Imagine borrowing $100,000 for new irrigation infrastructure at 4% interest last year. Now it's 7%. That's thousands of extra dollars you're paying every single year. It changes how farmers plan. Some are delaying upgrades. Others are skipping input purchases they'd normally make. And many are choosing not to expand at all, even when market demand is strong. So what does all of this mean? Farms are getting smaller, operations are getting leaner, margins are tighter, and while that might sound like a temporary trend, there are long-term consequences we need to pay attention to. Let's zoom out. The world's population is growing. Food demand is rising. Climate change is putting pressure on production. And in the middle of all this, farms are shrinking. That's not a good combo. It raises serious concerns about food security, local production capacity, and rural economic health. But the real risk isn't just the loss of acres, it's the loss of independent farms. Because as small and mid-sized farmers are forced to sell off, slow down, or shut down, larger players are buying up the assets. And when agriculture gets consolidated into fewer hands, we lose diversity not just in crops, but in practices, ideas, and resilience. So what can you do? How can your farm stay resilient in an economy that feels more volatile every month? Let's look at a few strategies that real farms are using right now. First, diversification. Farms that survive inflation aren't just growing one thing. They mix livestock with crops. They grow both staples and specialty items. They tap into local markets, agritourism, direct-to-consumer sales. Diversification doesn't just spread income, it spreads risk. Second, shared resources. From machinery pools to worker co-ops, farmers are teaming up to lower costs. Need a harvester you can't afford on your own? Team up with a neighbor. Need seasonal workers? Share recruitment and transportation costs with nearby farms. This kind of collaboration helps everyone stretch their resources further. Third, RG efficiency and input control. Inflation is especially brutal on inputs: fuel, fertilizer, pesticides. That's why some farms are cutting costs by going solar, using precision agriculture, applying targeted fertilizer only where needed, or making their own compost. Every dollar you save on inputs is a dollar you don't need to earn back from sales. Fourth, timing loans and refinancing. Yes, interest rates are up, but some farms are refinancing older debts now to lock in predictable payments. Others are borrowing strategically during periods of lower rates or applying for government support schemes and grants tied to sustainable farming, smart irrigation, or regenerative practices. And here's a surprising one: digital selling. Online platforms, farmer marketplaces, and local delivery apps have helped farmers reach buyers directly, cutting out the middleman. More revenue per sale means less pressure to increase volume just to stay afloat. Let's bring it all together. Inflation is definitely squeezing farmers on land, labor, and loans. But that doesn't mean every farm is doomed to shrink. It means we have to adapt. We have to think differently, operate smarter, collaborate more, and advocate for policies that protect small and medium farmers from being squeezed out completely. If we don't act now, the farms of the future may be fewer, bigger, and less rooted in local communities. But if we do act, if we invest in resilience, technology, community, and diversity, we can build a new model of agriculture that thrives even when the economy doesn't. So here are 3 practical takeaways you can apply this season. 1. Review your cost structure. Do a line-by-line review of your input spending and see where you can cut waste or substitute with lower-cost options. 2. Talk to your lender proactively. Don't wait for a rate hike to hit. Schedule a meeting, ask about refinancing or flexible repayment terms, and explore agri-support programs. 3. Look for income streams that don't rely on acreage. Could you host workshops, rent space for bees, or grow high-value microgreens in a small corner of your land? Not all profit needs to come from plowed rows. The goal isn't to avoid change. The goal is to ride the wave and come out the other side stronger. We hope this exploration has been valuable. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. See you again on our next deep dive.